So today we got something a little bit unexpected, a roadmap for Escape for Tarkov by Battlestate Games. And the reason why it's unexpected is because the last roadmap they released was years ago, and I think it's fair to say that it created more problems and animosity within the gaming community than actually helped and increased transparency with some of the features that were going to be released. Now, it's kind of a tough decision. I mean, I'm not a game developer, so I don't really have the answers, but you can either go full transparent and just be upfront with what you're planning, what you want to release, and if things don't work out, well, you explain the problems, or you kind of go full No Man's Sky, where you put your head down, you work, you release the content patches, and you don't give the player base too much of an inclination on what's exactly happening until it's very close to being released, and then you release a trailer and the update. So what exactly did Battlestate Games release? Well, on the screen now, you're going to be seeing the roadmap photo, which basically shows the update for 13.05, a technical update, and then shortly thereafter, a transition to Unity 2021. After that, a technical update from the move to Unity, and then finally 14.0 with the Streets of Tarkov expansion, and we'll talk a bit more about that later with the content update. My first impressions of this roadmap is it seems like we're actually not going to be getting any significant content updates for Tarkov for quite some time. They seem pretty set on releasing everything at the exact same time for the new bosses, the Streets of Tarkov expansion, the BTR taxi, and all of the new weapons that we recently seen during the Nikita's podcast. That includes the AK-12, the PKM, the RPD, the SVT-40, the 9A191 underbarrel grenade launchers, and more. In addition to that, with the body armor rework, where you actually can replace plates inside the body armor for the durability rather than the system that works currently, and so much more. And we'll talk bullet by bullet point in just a moment. All right, so let's break down some of these bullet points and talk a bit more about what's going to be happening. And then I'm also going to be doing a hefty amount of speculation on when I feel like some of these patches might actually get released, but I obviously don't know. I mean, we're just going to have a conversation about it. All right, so let's go to the very beginning. Update 13.5.0. So this is going to be our interim technical update. Going to be trying to solve some of the bugs that you experience on the regular, especially with flashlights. There's also a tweak of some of the skyboxes and lighting on various maps, so they're going to be optimizing that. They also say that the audio will be tweaked on Interchange and Lighthouse, but take that with a grain of salt. There's been various audio tweaks and optimizations for the other maps as well, and the new audio system just isn't there yet, so hopefully down the road it will get there. So I just wouldn't expect it to be completely resolved with the most recent technical patch. And then they also say they're going to be changing things like the headsets, AI voice line playback systems, incorrect volume of gunshots at short distances, and then also tidying up some of the movement that bots have in the prone position. So total speculation here, but I suspect that this is going to release sometime in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Usually there is a pretty big update around the end of June, first week of July for Escape from Tarkov, and I imagine this is when this patch is going to get released. There's also usually a wipe around this time, but it doesn't seem like this is going to be significant enough to incur a wipe. If it does happen, I feel like it's going to be one of those weird ones where people aren't overly excited because there's not enough changing in the game to really bring players back in large numbers. And there's been plenty of wipes like this. Maybe if they can finish up some of the new pieces of equipment and weapons before Unity 2021 gets released, then we'd see a few of those whenever the next wipe will be. But at this point, it's looking like that won't really be happening. Now moving on to the big one, which is the transition to Unity 2021. And this is the holy grail because what they're suggesting that it's going to do is going to solve a significant amount of the complaints that players have with Tarkov. That being hit registration, accuracy of position, increasing the number of players and bots in the actual raids, optimizing RAM consumption, updating their graphics, supporting HDR, eliminating the possibility of memory leaks. This is a big one and a huge ask, and they're saying that this is going to be 13.1.0. Now, if I was a betting man and I was putting money down, and again, this is pure speculation, this is when I feel the next wipe would actually be with 13.1. There's a significant amount of changes being made, and the optimizations and the introduction of the new engine, it just makes sense for them to do a full wipe in preparation for this massive leap forward. And this is why roadmaps can kind of be dangerous with game development, because They're saying, hey, this is going to reduce the memory consumption. Those memory leaks, they shouldn't happen as much. Hit registration, that's going to be improved. The accuracy of player positions, increasing the FPS in online raids, reducing the chance of desynchronization in the raids themselves. This roadmap is suggesting that the significant majority of the issues that people complain about, especially whenever developers make a post on Twitter or on the forums, this is going to try to fix those problems. You're never going to have a perfect game, but these are pretty bold claims that Unity 2021 is going to be able to solve. So I hope for their sake and the player base that they're right on this. So from here, we have a pretty significant gap from 13.1 and 14.0. It's fair to say that there's going to probably be a technical update of some sort in between 13.1 and whenever they do the next huge content drop. But it just means that we're not going to be seeing anything new and exciting for Tarkov for quite some time. I personally believe, I'm speculating, we're probably not going to be seeing the transition to Unity 2021 until late summer or even in the fall. And we're likely not going to be seeing 14.0 until this time next year or middle of next year, because these are some pretty bold claims, and I suspect it's going to take a very long time. Unless they mean that this is going to be the roadmap for the rest of the year, which would be pretty ambitious if you ask me, especially given the track record of Battlestate games in the past and the fact that they're not just developing Escape for Tarkov, they're working on the Arena game as well. Yeah, I personally don't think we're going to be seeing 14.0 until 2024, but obviously you guys can let me know in the comment section below when you think this is going to be dropping. But it's pretty exciting. Like, we're going to be seeing that Streets of Tarkov expansion, the BTR taxi, the new bosses, vaulting, which has probably been one of the most requested features for quite some time, armored plates, which is going to be changing the way armor can be repaired and replaced, and then also reworking some of those hitboxes. Kit presets, so not just your weapon presets, just saving a loadout and then building it instantly. Players have been asking for that basically since the introduction of the weapon presets. One that they snuck in but is very significant is the left shoulder shooting. This single bullet point has created so much work for the animation team I can't even imagine, but it also solves one of Tarkov's big PvP problems, which is left versus right peeking. You will be able to actually have a similar experience now and hold a left peek with more confidence. But how exactly that's going to be working, if you can quickly switch between the two on the fly, which I suspect that you can do, we'll have to actually wait and see. But it's a pretty big bullet point. And then from here, we see some pretty exciting stuff with the expansion of the hideout, randomizing the loot containers, reworking the recoil mechanics on all weapon types. And we've already been seeing them doing that actively throughout 2023 and quite often. Quick pistol transition, which is something that I've been wanting for quite some time, because I just think pulling out your secondary is so slow to the point where you're just better off reloading your main gun, to be honest. Suppressor durability is one they've been talking about for years, but we haven't actually seen that, with different sound variations and subsonic ammunition actually functioning so you don't hear that supersonic crack. Ammunition loading interfaces, that should be pretty cool, so you can get a variety of different rounds in a single magazine, easier than splitting every single stack in your stash. User interface reworks, quest rebalances, rebalance of level skills and masteries, bipods, and stabilizing firearms with cover. I imagine it's going to work similar to games like Battlefield 4, where you're going up to a window, you press a button, and you rest the weapon, choosing which body part to heal via the hotkey. That's kind of cool. Helmet flashlights, which are already in the game, but are just a massive pain in the ass to actually use. Med and food consumption upon double click. And then all of the weapons that we've seen in the latest podcast with Nikita. That includes the AK-12, the PKM, the RPD, the SVT-40, which is kind of awesome, the 9A91, the underbarrel grenade launcher for the SCAR, and they just put other because it's going to be a long time before we actually see any of this stuff added to the game, that there's likely going to be a lot more by the time we get to 14.0. So I speculate it's going to take a very long time for everything that you see in this image to actually make it into the game. So what does that say for everything else that's been talked about in podcasts, community posts, and on social media throughout the years? Where are we at with Escape for Tarkov? And is the initial vision of Tarkov even going to be happening at this point? And what is that going to look like? What kind of roadmap, how many years away from that content are we right now? I don't think the developers intended for Tarkov to be as popular as it is, and especially in its current model. I mean, the instance-based environments, the traders accessible on the menu screen, and the easily accessible flea market at level 15, I'm sure all these things were placeholder, but it's clear that hundreds of thousands of players enjoy the way the game is currently set up. So that might change the way the developers look at Tarkov moving into the future. I mean, it really does seem like whenever we get to patch 14.0, there's going to be a very big push to actually getting to that 1.0 mark and calling the game feature complete. But to be fair, that is just pure speculation at this point, and your guess is as good as mine. So feel free to leave your speculation and your comments below this video, and then also subscribe for more Escape for Tarkov videos, and check out my live stream Monday through Friday starting at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Although I haven't been playing a whole lot of Escape for Tarkov, I always come back for the big updates, the big patches, and nothing compares to the excitement of a fresh wipe at Escape for Tarkov. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.